Hey friend, please subscribe. 1 second for you. Big deal for me.
I thought I'd play it cool this time, keep my mouth shut and get through the night, but I should have known better. My name's Ethan. I'm 39 years old. I live in Indianapolis. I work long hours doing HVAC repair, which means I usually show up late to everything, especially anything hosted by my wife's family. Like tonight. It was Christmas Eve, and I was pulling into the icy driveway of my in-laws' house, already bracing myself. The place looked like something out of a luxury magazine. Big white columns, brick facade, wreaths, and lights on every window. Expensive and cold, a perfect match for the people inside. Natalie, my wife, was already there playing hostess. I'd worked a double shift to cover the bills and pick up a little overtime, again, and now I was the late arrival. As usual. I stepped inside, stomping snow off my boots. The smell of cinnamon and pot roast hit me at the same time as the voices. "Ethan," her mom said in that fake bright tone she always used with me. "There he is." Dean, Natalie's brother, stood by the fireplace holding court with a scotch in one hand and his voice a few decibels too loud. He was wearing a sweater that probably cost more than my winter coat. His stories always ended with some kind of punchline that made him the center of attention. Scott, her cousin I think, was setting the table like he was on a cooking show, carefully placing each wine glass just so. Meanwhile, a handful of kids tore around the place, hyped up on sugar and zero supervision. Natalie spotted me from across the room and gave me a tight-lipped smile. Not the warm, glad you're here kind. More like a don't start anything kind. I gave her a nod, tried to smile back. Before I could take my coat off, her mom walked right up and said it, straight-faced, eyes locked on mine. "Why don't you take a seat with the kids in the den? We're a little tight at the big table this year." I blinked. I actually looked behind me to see if she was talking to someone else. She wasn't. "That okay with you?" she added, already walking away. I glanced toward Natalie. She looked down and smoothed out her dress like she hadn't heard. "Sure," I said quietly. My voice didn't even sound like mine. Then I turned toward the den, toward the folding chairs and juice boxes, knowing this night had just taken a turn. I walked into the den, the door creaking behind me like it knew this was some kind of exile. Folding chairs, juice boxes, and paper plates waited for me like a slap in the face. The TV was on but muted, a cartoon still flickering across the screen. A couple of the kids looked up for a second, then went right back to their chicken nuggets and macaroni like I wasn't even there. From where I sat, I could see straight into the dining room, the real dining room. The adult table was glowing like it belonged in a holiday commercial. Crystal glasses, polished silverware, thick cloth napkins folded just so. A centerpiece with candles and pine cones. The soft clinking of forks and glasses and low laughter floating through the doorway like I was supposed to listen, but not be part of it. I sat down slowly, my knees cracking as I lowered myself onto a wobbly metal chair. Someone had tossed a seat cushion on it, but it didn't help. It still felt like sitting on a punishment. A little boy next to me, maybe Scott's kid, shoved his applesauce across the card table and elbowed it right into my arm. "Sorry," he mumbled without looking. I just stared at the little plastic bowl and felt my stomach turn, not from the smell or anything, just from everything. Out in the dining room, Dean's voice cut through the murmur. "Glad we've got some room now," he said, and the whole table chuckled like it was the line of the night. Even Natalie. She didn't laugh, I'll give her that. But she didn't say a damn word either. Just kept sipping her wine, eyes glued to her plate. That's when it all started to boil over. The looks, the digs, the way every holiday I was the outsider who didn't quite fit. The guy who married in, but never really belonged. The one who worked overtime while they handed out wine lists and gift bags. I stood up. Not fast or dramatic, just quietly, deliberately. My coat was still hanging by the door, so I walked over and grabbed it. I passed the dining room on my way out. Natalie looked up, finally. Just a glance. Her lips parted like she might say something, but she didn't. Her mom did, though. "Ethan," she called, napkin still in her lap. "Where are you going?" I paused with my coat half on. Turned my head, not enough to see her, just enough that she'd know I heard. "Out," I said. There was a beat of silence like the whole house tilted a little. "Ethan," she said again, more forceful this time. like I was the one ruining something sacred. It's Christmas. Yeah, I muttered. I noticed. And then I opened the door and stepped into the cold. It hit me like a slap. Sharp, biting, real. Way more real than anything inside that house. I didn't look back. Not when the wind howled around my collar. Not when the porch light flickered above me. And definitely not when the door clicked shut behind me. I got in the car, turned the key, and just sat there with my hands on the wheel, heart thudding in my ears. Merry Christmas, I thought. Then I put it in drive. I said, out, without turning around. That was it. One word, flat as a tire, and then I pulled the door shut behind me hard enough to rattle the wreath on the other side. The cold slapped me across the face. Sharp and honest. Felt good, in a twisted kind of way. Like it was cutting through all the fake smiles and warm lighting I'd just left behind. I climbed into the truck, slammed the door, and just sat there for a second. Breathing. My fingers gripped the wheel like I was holding on to the last bit of patience I had left. Then I turned the key and peeled out of that driveway like I couldn't get away fast enough. I didn't know where I was going. I just drove, past the twinkling houses and plastic reindeer, past gas stations and shut-up storefronts, until the roads got darker and emptier, and the holiday felt 100 miles behind me. I wasn't thinking, not really, just moving. About 40 minutes later, I saw a glowing open sign ahead, a beat-up little diner off the highway, the kind with 20 parking spots and 6 working light bulbs. I pulled in. Inside, the place smelled like burnt coffee and fryer grease. A waitress who looked half asleep nodded me toward a booth near the back. I slid in, still wearing my coat. "What'll it be?" she asked, already holding a pencil over her notepad. "Meatloaf." "Coffee," I said. She raised an eyebrow like she was surprised I didn't need the menu. I didn't. Places like this only had 3 real options anyway. She disappeared without saying a word. I sat there, staring at the cracked plastic tabletop, my hands still shaking. Not from the cold, from all of it. Rage, embarrassment, the weight of being treated like I didn't belong in my own damn family. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I didn't move. Then it buzzed again. And again. The 4th one lit up the screen. "Natalie, where are you?" "This isn't funny, Ethan. We need to talk." I scoffed under my breath. Not funny. She was right about that part. I pulled the phone out and stared at the screen. Missed calls, texts, the works. Her mom, Dean, Natalie, even one from Scott. They were piling up fast. I should have felt guilty. I knew that. I'd left on Christmas Eve, made a scene, walked out. But guilt never came. Just this calm. Because for once, they were the ones sitting there, wondering what I was thinking, where I had gone, whether I was coming back. They were finally getting a little taste of what it felt like to be left out in the cold, to not be important enough to be heard or even seated at the table. I smirked. Not from amusement, not even close. It was the kind of smirk that came from realization that maybe, just maybe, this time they didn't know what was coming next. The waitress came back with my plate, a slab of meatloaf drowning in brown gravy, mashed potatoes on the side, coffee steaming in a chipped mug. "Need anything else?" she asked, not really caring. "Nope," I said. "This is perfect." She gave me a tired smile and shuffled away. My phone buzzed again. I flipped it face down. I could have texted back, told Natalie I was fine, said I'd be home later or tomorrow or whatever version of pretending she needed to hear, but I didn't. I took a sip of the bitter coffee and decided, not yet. Let them stew. Let them sit there in that magazine-spread dining room, wondering what I was going to do next. Let them feel the silence for once. It wasn't revenge. Not exactly. It was just fair. And damn, did it feel good. I sat in that booth long after the meatloaf was gone, the plate pushed to the side, coffee gone cold. The diner had thinned out, just a truck or 2 booths over, and the night cook playing something tinny on a speaker in the back. I pulled out my phone and stupidly checked the family group chat. Big mistake. The first thing I saw was Dean's message. "Well, I guess we know who can't handle a little holiday stress." Then Natalie chimed in. short and surgical. You really could have handled that better, Ethan. And her mom, of course, with her signature blend of guilt and innocence. I'm sorry you felt excluded. That was never the intention. We all just want a peaceful Christmas. Peaceful. Peaceful for who? I kept scrolling. Scott threw in a Switzerland style, let's not blow this out of proportion, and Dean doubled down with another gem. Pretty sure the kids had more maturity than he did tonight. I just stared at the screen, jaw locked. My hands didn't shake this time. They were too damn steady. I clicked the photo icon, scrolled, found it almost immediately. A picture from 4 or 5 Christmases ago. Everyone else was gathered around the fireplace, raising glasses mid-laughter. And there I was, blurry, half cut off at the edge of the frame, holding a tray of drinks. Not even in focus. Not even important enough to center. I stared at that photo for a long second, then typed, "This wasn't about a chair. It never was." I hit send. Another second. It's about years of being the background extra in a family that never once asked if I was okay. Working 2 jobs, fixing your cars, installing your air conditioners, showing up to every birthday with the right gifts, helping pay for Scott's surprise engagement party when no one else had the cash. Thumbs flying now, I kept going. I've been the unpaid help for this family since day one. You all act like you're doing me a favor by letting me in the room, but only if I stay quiet and don't take up too much space. I took a breath. My heart wasn't racing. If anything, it slowed. Like this had been sitting in my chest for too damn long and finally had somewhere to go. I attached the photo, captioned it, still on the edge, just like always. Then I hit send. The chat went quiet for about 40 seconds. Then all hell broke loose. Dean, dramatic much? A blurry picture doesn't mean we've treated you badly. Natalie, can we please not do this over text? Her mom, Ethan, this isn't fair to anyone, especially not to Natalie. You embarrassed her. Scott, maybe you're just reading into stuff that's not there, man. I watched it all unfold in real time, like a slow-motion car crash where everyone's yelling, "It wasn't me," before the dust even settles. Natalie messaged me privately. Can you please delete that photo? You're making this worse. I stared at her words. Making this worse. Like I'd set the house on fire, not just pointed at the smoke. Number no more deleting. No more softening the blow so it wouldn't upset the people who'd never once asked how it felt to be treated like furniture. They'd kept me small for years, with their smiles, their jokes, their chairs for the kids. Well, not tonight. I leaned back in the booth, phone buzzing beside the empty plate. The screen lit up again and again. More texts, more spin, more, let's not make this a thing. Too late. It was already a thing. And for once, I wasn't going to clean up the mess. The messages poured in like floodwater. Natalie, you embarrassed me in front of my entire family. Dean, you're acting like a damn martyr. Nobody made you do anything. Grow up. Her mom, of course. This isn't what family does, Ethan. I've always welcomed you. Always. You just never tried to fit in. I stared at that last one for a long time. Welcomed me? I hovered my thumb over the screen, thinking about replying. Thought about writing out everything she'd ever done to make me feel like an outsider. Every smirk, every comment that stung under the fake nice wrapping. Instead, I just blocked her. One click. Done. It was ridiculous how final it felt. Like cutting off oxygen to something I should have let die years ago. Natalie kept texting. You're really doing this? On Christmas? How long were you planning this? Did you want to make me look bad? I didn't answer. Couldn't, because if I did, I'd either say something I couldn't take back, or worse, I'd start apologizing again. I sat in my truck in that empty diner parking lot for almost an hour, just watching the chat explode. I wasn't even mad anymore, just drained. Like someone had been pulling at me from 100 directions for so long, I didn't even know how it felt to stand still. Finally, I scrolled to Ray's number and hit call. He picked up on the third ring, his voice groggy. Yo? Hey, man, I said. You still got that spare room? There was a pause. I could hear him sitting up. Yeah, of course, you good? I let out a breath. Getting there. He didn't ask for details, just gave me the code for the side door and told me the sheets were clean. That was Ray. No prying, no pep talk. Just the kind of solid friend who shows up when it counts. An hour later, I was letting myself into his place. It was quiet, dark, smelled faintly like wood and takeout. I dropped my bag by the couch and found the spare room in the back. Nothing fancy, just a bed, a lamp, a nightstand with an old alarm clock stuck on the wrong time. But to me, it felt like a reset button. I kicked off my boots, crawled under the blanket, and for the first time in weeks, hell, maybe months, I slept. No tossing, no ceiling staring, no weight pressing down on my chest while I wondered how to keep everyone happy. Just sleep. When I woke up, soft morning light filtered through the blinds. My phone was still on silent, face down on the floor. I reached for it without really thinking and tapped the screen. One voicemail. Natalie. I hesitated, thumb hovering over the play button. I almost skipped it, almost deleted it without listening. But something in me, curiosity, habit, I don't know, made me press play. Her voice crackled through the speaker, not cold, not rehearsed, just tired and small. Hey, I don't know what to say. I didn't expect you to actually leave. I thought you'd just cool off, I guess. But now everyone's calling me, asking what happened, and I don't even know what to tell them. You made it sound like I never cared. Like I was just watching while maybe I was. I don't know. She sniffed. I'm not saying you didn't have a right to be mad. I'm just saying, this isn't how I thought tonight would go. You could have told me you felt that way. I didn't know. I didn't know it was that deep. Silence. Then, I don't want to fight. I just want to talk. Please. The message ended. I stared at the phone for a long while, the screen fading to black in my hand. There were no promises in her voice, no dramatic confessions, just a woman trying to understand something that had been broken for longer than she'd realized. I didn't reply. Not yet. The voicemail stuck with me all morning. I played it twice. Not because I missed her voice or because it changed anything, but because I needed to hear it clearly, without the fog of exhaustion. It was exactly what I expected. Tearful, yeah. But still layered with that defensiveness I knew too well. That tone that said you've hurt me, but never stopped to ask why were you hurting in the first place. By noon, her sister chimed in too. A text this time. You didn't have to storm out like that, Ethan. You made a scene. It was Christmas. Right. Because keeping your mouth shut while you're handed a paper plate in the kids' room is the spirit of the season. I didn't respond. Her mom called again, left a voicemail that sounded straight out of a Hallmark movie, if the movie was about gaslighting. Ethan, it's about family. We don't always get along, but we show up. That's what matters. You walked out on everyone, and that hurt. I wanted to laugh, really. The part that hurt wasn't the folding chair or the jokes or the looks. It was me walking out. That's what tipped the scales. The moment I stopped accepting it all quietly. Screw that. I sat on Ray's back porch, coffee in hand, watching a squirrel absolutely lose its mind, trying to carry half a bagel up a tree. It was oddly calming. That's when Natalie texted. My mom wants to smooth things over. Maybe you can come by, privately, just to talk. Not everyone has to be there. I stared at the screen, privately, so they could tidy it up, behind closed doors. No real apology. Just enough lip service to put the lid back on and get through the next holiday without a headline. I typed slow, every word deliberate. I'm not a kid. I won't be treated like one. If you want to fix this, tell your family to say it to my face. I'm done with side rooms and side conversations. I hit send and let the silence stretch. Hours passed. No typing bubbles, no follow-up, just stillness. But this time, I was the one holding it. Ray came home around 4, carrying a sack of burgers and fries, like it was a peace offering. Double bacon with no onions, he said, handing me one. Figured you could use a win. I smiled and nodded. You have no idea. We ate on the porch, talked about nothing. Work, sports, the weather. It felt normal, safe. Around 8, I checked my phone again. Still nothing from Natalie, but there was a new message. Dean, you embarrassed my sister. You owe us an apology. I blinked. That was it. No, hey, no, can we talk? Just straight to the point, you're the problem. I reread it twice, making sure I wasn't hallucinating. But no, that smug little sentence was real. Something in me went ice cold. Not rage, not even surprise. Just confirmation. This was who they were, who they'd always been. It had never mattered how much I gave, how quietly I tried to keep the peace. The moment I stopped playing along, I was the villain in their perfect little holiday fantasy. Well, let them write that story. But this time, I was done playing the part they gave me. I watched the group chat go dead quiet. You could almost feel the digital air go still. No typing bubbles, no reactions. Just the weight of everything I'd just thrown into the room. All for what? A folding chair with a juice box? I stood up from Ray's couch and started pacing. Not because I was nervous, because I was lit up. Finally. After years of smiling through it, fixing things behind the scenes, swallowing every insult with a grin, I'd said it. The truth, ugly and honest, was out there now. Let them sit with it. My phone buzzed. Natalie, I didn't know you felt that way. I just wanted a peaceful holiday. I stopped mid-step. That word again. Peaceful. I sat back down and typed slowly, each word deliberate. Peace isn't silence, Nat. Peace is respect. And I haven't had that from your family? Maybe not even from you. I stared at it for a beat, then hit send. I figured that was the end of it. Maybe she'd stew in it. Maybe Dean would try another jab. Maybe they'd all just ghost me and pretend I was the problem again. But then, a new message popped up. Not from Natalie. Her mom. I didn't realize it had gone that deep, Ethan. We owe you a conversation. Come back tomorrow. I blinked. Read it again. It didn't sound like her. There was no guilt trip. No, but it's the holidays. No, you misunderstood. Just something that almost resembled humility. Almost. I didn't answer right away. I didn't trust it. This was a woman who once told me, with a straight face, that being included doesn't mean taking up space. She'd spent years looking right through me like I was just an extension of Natalie, the utility husband who knew how to fix a sump pump and didn't talk too loud during dinner. Still, that message landed weird. Not bad, not good, just strange. Like a piece of furniture you suddenly notice has always been crooked, but you're not sure how long it's been that way. Ray came out of the kitchen with 2 beers. You look like someone just offered to shake your hand after spitting in your coffee. I half laughed. Close. Her mom wants a conversation. Tomorrow. He raised an eyebrow, handed me a beer. You going? I twisted the cap off and leaned back. I don't know. He nodded like he got it. You don't owe them anything. Just don't go if you're hoping they'll be different people overnight. That's the thing, I said. I'm not. I just want the truth in the room. Finally. We sat there for a while, not talking. Just letting the silence be what it was. Quiet. Not hostile. There's a difference. I glanced at my phone again. Still no follow-up message from her mom. Still nothing from Dean. Even Scott had shut up. I realized something right then. For the first time in a long damn time, I had the mic. Not to win a fight, not to blow things up. Just to say this is what it's been like, and let that stand on its own. Maybe they were ready to listen. Maybe they weren't. But tomorrow, they'd find out I wasn't backing down. I didn't go back the next day. Didn't even consider it, to be honest. The thought of walking through that front door, all those polite faces pretending nothing happened, or worse, trying to contain the fallout like it was some PR disaster, made my stomach tighten. I stayed at Ray's. He had stocked the fridge with frozen pizzas and beer like we were back in college. Except now neither of us could eat after 10 without regretting it. We didn't talk about the messages. He didn't push. I turned my phone to silent and left it on the kitchen counter. For once, I didn't feel like waiting on someone else's words. That night, maybe close to midnight, I saw it buzzing, Natalie's name lighting up the screen. I picked it up and walked out onto the porch, the air sharp enough to sting. I let it ring once more before I finally answered. Her voice was soft, almost shaky. "Ethan." "Hey." "Yeah," I said, my tone flat but not cold. There was a pause, then she sighed. "I'm sorry," she said, "for not standing up for you, for letting it get that far." I leaned against the railing, staring at the neighbor's porch light blinking like it couldn't make up its mind. Her apology wasn't dramatic. It wasn't dressed up in excuses. That part, at least, felt honest. But still. "It's not about the apology," I said quietly. "It's about whether anything's actually going to change." Another pause. I could hear her breathing on the other end, slow and careful. "I don't know," she said finally. "I don't. But I want to try." I nodded to myself. I didn't say anything for a long minute. She waited. "Then tell your mom," I said. "If she really wants to talk, she can say what she has to say at the adult table. No den, no juice boxes, no side conversations while everyone else clinks wine glasses and acts like I'm some burden in work boots." Her breath hitched just a little. "Okay," she said. "I'll tell her." I could picture her sitting on the edge of our bed, probably in her robe, phone cradled between her shoulder and cheek, twisting the hem of the blanket with her fingers. That nervous thing she always did when she didn't know what came next. "I'm not saying I'll be there," I added. "I'm saying, we'll see." She didn't argue. Just let the silence sit. "I miss you," she said, barely above a whisper. I closed my eyes, not to block it out, just to feel it. "I know," I said. Then I hung up. And for the first time in what felt like years, I didn't feel panicked or guilty, or like I had to jump through a hoop to fix something. I didn't rehearse what I should have said or wonder if she'd call back. I just stood there in the cold and let the quiet settle over me. Calm. Not the kind that comes from getting what you want. The kind that comes from knowing you've finally stopped pretending you don't want more. Whatever happened next, it wouldn't be a reset. It'd be something new. Or nothing at all. The next few days moved slow. I walked a lot, through neighborhoods I didn't know, past old diners and beat-up basketball courts, hands stuffed in my jacket pockets, just listening to the crunch of gravel and my own thoughts. I didn't reach out. Didn't scroll through old messages or reread her voicemail. I didn't need to. Everything that had to be said was already out there. The rest? That was on them now. New Year's Eve came cold and gray. The kind of weather that makes everything look a little washed out, like the world's trying to reset itself. I stood on a trail behind Ray's apartment complex, staring out at a frozen retention pond, and thought about what the last 12 years had cost me. It was never about the chair. It was about the way they looked at me, like I was tolerated, not welcomed. Like everything I gave was expected, but never appreciated. Like being present meant being silent. I pulled out my phone and typed one last message to Natalie. "When your family's ready to treat me like I matter, they can call me. Not before." I stared at it for a beat, then hit send. Her reply came 10 minutes later. Understood. No guilt. No lecture. No long explanation trying to paint herself as caught in the middle. Just that. I slid my phone back in my pocket and walked the last few blocks back to Ray's. Didn't check for more messages. Didn't hope for some grand gesture or last-minute invite. And for once, that was enough. Ray had a few friends over that night. Just 6 of us crammed into his living room, laughing over pizza and warm beers, watching a busted countdown on an old TV that fuzzed out every time someone shifted on the couch. No one asked me for anything. No one expected me to be anything other than exactly who I was. At midnight, someone popped open a cheap bottle of sparkling wine, and Ray handed me a plastic cup. "To the ones who showed up," he said, raising his. I raised mine back, and to walking out when it's time. We clinked, and I smiled. Not out of bitterness, just relief. 12 years. That's how long I'd spent showing up to the wrong rooms, hoping someone might notice I was there. This time, I had walked into the right one. And my phone, it didn't buzz again that night.
YouTube picked this for you. Tap it. Let's see if they guessed right.